Well, hey guys. So, we have another reading vlog starting today. And this one is one that I'm actually super excited about. It's not based on a readathon, that's the only vlogging experience that I have before. This time I'm going to be reading 3 of my Instagram followers' favorite historical romance authors that are less well known. I probably could have thought of a better way to summarize that was not that long. But so on my Instagram, I asked my followers who their favorite historical romance authors were that were less well known. So, like, no Tessa Dare, no Joanna Lindsey, no Lisa Kleypas, no Kerrigan Byrne, none of the really popular ones. Although one of these is, I think most people will know, but she's new to me. And I got 3 answers from Plot Trysts, Gigi Reads Romance by The Trope, and Mrs. Teapot Reads. So, I picked theirs because they were authors that I didn't have, and that I had not read, and that I didn't know much about. Other than this one, which was suggested to me by Mrs. Plot Trysts Reads Rogue with a Brogue by Suzanne Enoch, and I just love this cover so much. Isn't it so pretty? Ah, so gorgeous. Y'all know I'm a sucker for a pretty cover. So, this one I don't know anything about, other than it's got Scottish guy with a brogue and pretty red dress. I have heard a lot about Suzanne Enoch, and so I'm excited to read this, but I don't have a plot summary for you yet. I'm sorry, I will have one in the next clip. So, I'm excited about this one. And then Plot Tryst Reads suggested Elizabeth Boyle, who I had not heard of, or maybe I had seen it, but I didn't really know much about her. So this one is And the Mist Ran Away with the Rake. And all I know is that I think this has a marriage of convenience and a sensible heroine, and I think passion kind of takes her by surprise. That's what I think. I read the back cover. That's what I'm getting out of it. And then the last author is Sherry Thomas, which I have on my Kindle. Don't know anything about this book. It was the first in a series by her, and yeah, I'm excited to read it. So this reading vlog, I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get through these 3 books. Probably at least a week. But I'll keep you guys updated as I read them. I think the first one I'm going to read is Suzanne Enoch, so I'm excited about that. And then I'll be reading the Kindle book at night too. So I will let you know what I think about these. So I'm excited. If you have a favorite historical romance author who is less well known, leave their name in the comments, because I would love to add them to my list. I'm always looking for great new authors. So, all right, check in later. Hello. Okay, first reading update on my Instagram followers choose my historical romance reads. So I have been reading The Luckiest Lady in London by Sherry Thomas, and I really love it. So this is a really interesting one because it starts out with, like, if you read the back of it, it sounds like a typical historical romance trope. Like, she needs to marry a rich eligible bachelor, and he doesn't think that he's gonna fall in love, you know. But the way that this is written is so witty and so charming, and the internal monologue of the characters, Louisa and Renwick is the hero, Louisa is the heroine, is so hilarious and just funny. Like, it starts out in when you first get to Louisa's point of view. She's talking about, okay, I need to find a man who makes £7,000 a year. By the way, when did it become, like, acceptable where everyone knew how much people made a year? Like, that's something I think is just so interesting, is that they're always like, I need a man, and this is how much he has to make a year. And everyone knows how much everyone makes a year. And I'm just like, am I the one that feels like this is weird? But anyway, she's talking about, okay, she has a list of things that she needs to acquire or have in order to land a husband like that. And it was hilarious. It was so funny. It's like, it's just, her wit is so funny. It reminds me a lot of just that satire that Jane Austen had, but in a way that is way more modern. And, like, she reads almost just like a modern day Christina Lauren type of character. It's just, this is really enjoyable. I'm loving this so far. I'm only 25% in. I'm on chapter 6. And it's so good. But on her list of the 7 things she needs, like some of them, I'm gonna share them with you. She needs bust improvers. She needs, a recipe for shiny hair, bright teeth, soft skin, an understanding of fashion. She also needs to have a deftness at flattering a gentleman. And the one right below it is a deftness at flattering said gentleman's mother and sisters. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So that was in the first chapter. And I was just freaking hooked from that point on. I just think it's hilarious. It's so funny. It's a very interesting, like, their personalities are very interesting. The concept itself isn't interesting. It's something we've seen before. But the way that Sherry writes this, she's reinventing it in a way that is so relatable and approachable for modern readers. And it's funny and charming and intriguing. And it's just hilarious. It's funny. I love it. There's also, like, a lot of, like, so they're at this point where there's just a bunch of physical chemistry right now, and they're trying to work out an arrangement for only that, and whew, it's interesting. But the prologue starts with our hero, and he goes through some really kind of sad time. He goes through a really kind of heartbreaking experience, so the prologue kind of made me think that it was going to be a little bit more emotional. I'm sure it will get more emotional, but I thought it was going to be a little more softer, a little maybe melancholy, and they find happiness. And then I read the next chapter and it's Louisa's perspective, and she's talking about how much she needs bust improvers and mayonnaise for her hair, and I'm just like, well, I don't know what this is, but I'm definitely here for it. So that's my first update. I'm really liking it a lot. This one is a win. I can't wait to read more. Hi. Okay. So I spent most of the day yesterday listening to The Luckiest Lady in London, and then I read it on ebook. Later that night I have it on Kindle, and I found the audio on Audible Escape. And you guys, I really, really love this book. I love it for what it's saying, and I love it for how it's exploring the characters' emotions and how complex they are, and the social conventions they had at the time, which kind of prevented them from having this type of relationship they have. Like, there would be this wouldn't be a barrier right now, right? So the gist of it is basically that, I'm not sure if I explained it earlier, so it's basically just Renworth and Louisa feeling this powerful attraction to each other and wanting to have a physical relationship, but Louisa needs to marry a man of means for her financial situation. She has a sister who has epilepsy, and she knows that she's the only one who's going to be able to financially support them. So she needs to marry well, and Renworth is just extremely attracted and drawn to Louisa because, in his words, it was that she was the only one who expressed physical interest in him while seeming to dislike him. So it's basically they have this, they decide to marry and have this relationship, and that he will get to be with her physically, and she will get to have, a financially supportive marriage, and everything will work out good. So it's just interesting because if it were a modern day romance novel, like that barrier of marriage wouldn't be there. They would just have the relationship, and there would have to be some other type of plot device, right? But because of the historical setting, it's really very, very interesting to see how they kind of navigate this relationship, and how they both begin to realize that you really can't have that type of relationship, a physical relationship, without having powerful, or without growing powerful emotional feelings too. And so it's kind of seeing both of them struggle with that and how they're going to deal with that. And I think probably my favorite parts are seeing them both slowly begin to realize that they do have feelings that are more than just surface level physical attraction. So I feel like this author, Sherry, does a wonderful job of really, really sort of playing with your emotions, and not in a bad way, but like she can take you from like laughing and being charmed and just feeling really happy, upbeat moments to all of a sudden just feeling just like gutted, this heart-wrenching scene. Like, there's one scene in particular between the two of them, and it just like, my heart just like, it hurt, you know? So I feel like that's really interesting. There definitely isn't really any plot other than that. Like, that is the plot, is their relationship, and I like that. I think it's good. But I know, like, I saw some of the reviews for this, and some people were criticizing that there really isn't any action, and I'm just like, I don't know what action you're expecting. But it's good. It's so good. I will say that I am waiting for that big emotional payoff that I feel like has to come, you know, because at this point I'm interested in their relationship, and I'm interested in watching them, you know, interact with one another, and like they experience little jealousies or when they're around other people, and as they watch their feelings kind of grow and develop, it's interesting. I like it a lot. I really enjoy this author's writing style. She's definitely going to be one that I read from again. So I'm about 70% of the way finished, so I'm going to finish the book, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. And then the next book I pick up is going to be Rogue with a Brogue by Suzanne Enoch, and then also Do You See My Sweatshirt? Do you see? Ooh, so great, huh? I got this from Fugly Barbie. I'll link their Etsy shop down below, and I cut the neck out like I do on all of my sweatshirts because I'm tall and I have long arms, and so I do that so then the sleeves work. I also just kind of like the look of it that way. But anyway, it's been a good reading day, so yeah, I don't really have, this isn't the typical vlog where I like put in things that I'm doing, because really I'm kind of struggling with that. Like, I don't go anywhere. What is some interesting video montages I can do of just being in my house? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll come up with something. Anyway, this author is definitely one I want to read from again. She's a wonderful writer. Really, really, really good. I'm liking it a lot. I'm really hoping though that I get a really great emotional payoff at the end. So we'll see. Hi, so I finished The Luckiest Lady in London, and I really, really loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was just a really, it was so good. It was very smart. It was very emotional. It was very funny and charming. It was just really, really good. I think the only reason I gave it not a full 5 stars is because I felt like there wasn't the emotional payoff at the end was good, but it wasn't quite as good as I was hoping for, but it was still wonderful, and I highly recommend this author, and I definitely plan to pick up more by her. So it was a very enjoyable read. I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. I think that when I was talking about it earlier, how a prologue is a scene from our hero's point of view as a child, and he goes through some really sad times there. That is really what sets the stage for the whole rest of the book. So it was worth it. It was wonderful. I loved it. It was great. So book 1 done. That was an excellent suggestion. That was suggested by Gigi Reads Romance, and I loved it. Definitely going to be one of my authors that I check out now for more on. Definitely going to be an author that I check more out from. So, and I just started Rogue with a Brogue by Suzanne Enoch, so I've got the audiobook downloaded and ready to go. I'm excited for it.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light, running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star, we are born again. last time in your head. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend last time in your head.
Hello. Okay, time for another reading update. So I've been reading Rogue with Brogue by Suzanne Enoch, and I am really loving this too. I feel like this is another winner. I really love the writing style. It's very easy to get sucked into the story right away. I really like the characters. So since I didn't do a good job of giving you a summary of what the other book was about, let me try again this time. So this is about Erin McLaury. I always forget their last names. Erin McLaury and Mary Campbell, and Erin is a Highlander from a Scottish clan, and his family is rivals with Mary's family. So it has a little bit of that forbidden aspect to it, and sort of like a Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers type of thing. And they are both betrothed to other people, and it's basically, they meet, they have a lot of chemistry, a lot of really fun banter. I love a witty heroine, and Mary is witty for sure. And he is a very swoony hero. It's very, very fun. And we just had a really romantic horseback kiss scene, which I freaking love. Like, that's one of my favorite things ever. It makes me swoon all the time. I just loved it. So that was super fun. And I feel like I wanted to talk about this thing that I feel like historical romance novels do so well that isn't talked about enough, is how well they like present the idea of women using the only power that they have at the time, which is basically who they choose to be with as, you know, a romantic partner, as taking that as their power, as their independence. And especially in this book, we see Mary kind of awaken to, she's betrothed to be married to this other man, and she wants to know why, because it's something so their families can get along, there won't be a feud and all this other stuff. And she's starting to just rebel against that idea, and she's young, she's 21. It's just really, really enlightening to see women take power in this way, which is one of the only ways they have for power. I can see why so many women in these novels, I'm not sure how accurate this is, I'll have to ask around or look into it, how they often use relationships, you know, in a way that maybe we think is not proper, because for them that really is, it's empowering for them. It's one choice that they have, you know. And it made me really think about, I just finished reading Daring and the Duke by Sarah MacLean, and the main character there, Grace, absolutely does that, you know. That book, that whole series, The Bare Knuckle Bastards, is just an amazing feminist, empowering series, and I just loved it. But as I've spent the last month reading mostly just historical romance novels, I've seen that theme come out more and more, and it's something that I really, really love, and I think it's so important, and I can see how this speaks to so many readers today, right now. I feel like the revival we're seeing with historical romance, you know, coming back and being popular, they're powerful books, you know, they're fun and they're swoony and they're romantic and they're steamy, but there's also a lot of beautifully hidden nuggets of female empowerment in here that I just love. Like, I just think it's amazing. So at this point, and I am 100 pages in, it's set up to be a 5-star read for me. I feel like the chemistry is there, the story is there, the empowerment factor is there. I'm very excited to see how this ends up, and I can see, so this was book 2 in the Scandalous Highlanders series. I can see what I think was couple 1 from the first book, so I'm excited to go back and read that. So this was recommended to me by Mrs. Teapots Reads, this author, and I am super impressed, and I think she's a wonderful writer, and I can't wait to read more of her books. So that's all for this update. I'm gonna go have a snack and read some more, and then I'll let you guys know later on if I come across another scene where I just can't help but gush about it, like horseback kiss. Oh, it was so wonderful. I loved it so much. I'll be sure to tell you guys, but If not, I'm not sure when I'll update you again. So it's Saturday. I hope to have this vlog up on Monday. That depends on if I can finish this and my other book in time. So we'll see. Hi, just a quick check-in to say that we love to see a heroine who stops to think for a minute about what she's about to do and consider something other than just the fact that he's handsome and he's sweeping her off her feet. Like, yay for a heroine who's thinking for herself and making good decisions and not being ruled purely by attraction. We love to see it. Okay, bye. Hi, hello, good morning. So, I finished reading Rogue with a Brogue by Suzanne Enoch last night, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. Okay, so here we go. So I loved the first half of this. I loved their interaction with each other. I loved the chemistry that they had. I loved their banter. I just loved it. I thought it was so great. I feel like he's a very swoony hero. Like, he's very swoony. You know, there were some absolutely just swoony scenes in here that were romantic, and I just loved it. But after my last clip, when I said we love a heroine who she doesn't just fall for the handsome face and wants to have that be, you know, just fall into bed with a guy just because he's pretty. And so then I was really expecting more of a drawn out time frame between them before they finally get together, and it was really shortly after I read that they got together, and so then all of that will they won't they was gone, and it relied completely on the tension between their clans and how they couldn't be together because of that. So I kind of wish it had more tension there before they actually got together, but I still really enjoyed them as a couple. I thought this was a really fun, charming, happy read. I really think it's enjoyable to read. And then the only other thing that I didn't really like was the ending. I felt like the ending was super, super rushed. Like, I was reading it on my Kindle too last night, and I was at like 9 because I was reading it in the dark. And it was like 95, 98%, and it hadn't resolved yet, and I just kept thinking, how is this going to end? And it did, and it was just like a few pages and it ended. And it was a little too quick on the ending, and it was a little too easily resolved, and I was kind of just wanting a little bit more. So I think this is probably a 3.5 star for me, because I just loved the chemistry between them, and I loved their relationship, but just the ending, and then how, you know, the tension between them was kind of gone about a little over halfway through. I kind of was, the last half wasn't as enjoyable to read as the first, you know. But I am super interested in reading more from the series. Like I said, this was book 2 in this series, so I'm definitely going to go back and read 1 in the future, and I want to read more from her. I think she's a really good author, and I really liked this a lot. So I'm really curious to know how the first one, what the plot was on that one, because I know the couple based on this book. I know the couple that's going to be in that first one, so I really want to know what their story is. So definitely going to be reading that one. So this was recommended to me by Mrs. Teapot's Reads, and it was an excellent recommendation. I would recommend Suzanne Enoch. I think she was a great historical romance author, and I thought this was a lot of fun. So 3.5 stars on this one. It was great. Almost a 4, I would say. It was if that ending had been different, this would have probably been way higher, but I still really enjoyed it. Really loved it. It was great. Okay, so the next author I have to read is Elizabeth Boyle, who was recommended to me by Plottress on Instagram, and I picked this up last night because I was going to start reading it, and then I noticed, like, I was looking on Kindle to see if it was maybe not very expensive, and then I would buy both so I could read at night and during the day, because I love paperbacks to read during the day, and this is a nice floppy one. Like, oh, I love it. It's not like a stiff one, you know, like, like this spine would crack super easy. I feel like this one wouldn't. Anyway, I just also love paperbacks. That was a little rant. But, so I was looking for this on Kindle, and I noticed that, guess what, y'all? If you know this author of this series, you've already knew this, and you've probably been shouting at me the whole time. This is also book 2. So, I did find the first book on Kindle for $3, and I just bought it. And so I'm not going to read this one first. I am going to keep this author. However, I'm going to read the first book in the series, which is Along Came a Duke. And this book is, I think, it's a Regency novel. And so we have Tabitha, I think, is the heroine. And she is a really poor spinster, and she suddenly inherits, this is from the cover blurb on the back, she suddenly inherits a lot of money, but she only gets it if she marries a guy that her uncle who left the money to her chose for her. So she has to marry this man in order to get the money, and then our hero comes along, and I don't know. Basically, our hero comes along, sees that, I don't know, mayhem, love. I'm hoping it's funny and bantery and cute, and I'm just hoping it's a really lighthearted, fun read, because that's really what I'm in the mood for. I want a light, sassy, delightful historical romance. That's what I'm looking for today. So I'm gonna read that on my Kindle, and yeah, I will hopefully get that finished today so this vlog can go up tomorrow. I also wanted to say, which I didn't say earlier, I wanted to rant a little bit, okay? I looked up reviews for this after I finished this on Goodreads. And there was one review that rated it very low, and one of the reasons she rated it low was because of the cover and the title. And y'all know how I feel about romance novel covers. I think they're beautiful and fun, and I also feel like the titles are quirky, kitschy, you know, like punny. That's just part of the genre. And I really hated how this reviewer was talking about how I just couldn't take it seriously because look at that cover and look at that title. And I'm like, I'm sorry that you are offended by this lighthearted, fun romance and that it wasn't the Nobel Prize winner you were expecting. But I don't know. That attitude just really drives me nuts about when people feel like I couldn't take this seriously. I know a lot of research goes into these historical romance novels, but that cover and the title, and I'm just like, it just bugs me. I just hate it. I could rant for days about people who feel like romance novels are trashy, insignificant, and stupid. And it all comes back around to people don't like to think things are good that are made for women. I said it. I did. Okay, that's the end of my rant. Alright, I'm going to spend the day reading. I'm not sure how often I'll update. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not working today. Today's my day off, so I'm just going to read all day long. And probably make food. Maybe cookies. Okay, I'll check in later. Bye. Also, do you like my sweatshirt? Tell your dog I said hi. Because I like dogs more than people. Like if you agree. Hi. Hello. Well, it's 5 o'clock on Sunday night, and I am 25% finished with Along Came a Duke, so I don't think I'm going to finish it today. I also have freshly washed hair, which is so nice. If you have bright colored hair, you know, like you hate to wash it because then it fades, but also like you'll have clean hair. So anyway, I digress. So this book definitely has a slow burn romance, and it is a little bit of an enemies to lovers at first, both of which I love. So up until this point, there wasn't a whole lot of character interaction. It was mostly their individual backstories, and they had occasional meetings. So now we're starting to see them interact more, and I'm liking it a lot better, whereas before it felt like the writing is really good. It's really engaging, really easy to read, but it just didn't feel like a compelling enough, like there wasn't enough character interaction for me to like not want to put it down, you know? Like I still enjoyed it. I still liked reading it, but I was just waiting for the hook. So now I feel like I'm hooked, and I'm really liking it. I really like her writing style. It's very charming. Like that's how I would describe it so far. It's just charming and fun, and sweet, and I really like the characters. I think this series is a little bit of like fairy tale retellings, I think, because I may be wrong. I'm getting a little bit of Cinderella vibes from this. Anyway, so yeah, I'm liking it. I will update you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna try and finish it all night, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I am completely in love with this book. I feel like you know what I love most about romance novels is when it's something other than just physical attraction, and there's that moment where the hero realizes, whatever, that he is smitten with her. And I feel like it doesn't happen in every romance book or every romance story that I've read, but when it does, it's just so lovely and beautiful, and I love it so much. So I'm really enjoying it. That's all I just had to tell you. It's so swoony. Hello, welcome to the final clip of this reading vlog. So I finished Along Came a Duke. I couldn't think for a minute. Sometimes I get on camera and I get like nervous and then my mind just goes poof, gone. I finished Along Came a Duke and I loved it so much. I loved this book. This book was everything I wanted in a historical romance. Like when I said I wanted something lighthearted, fun, romantic, check, check, check. It was everything. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It reminded me very much of like a Regency romantic comedy. Like it almost reminded me of like Emma, but like dialed up a notch, you know? Like it was so good. It was so cute. It was perfect. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. 5 stars. That has been my favorite book that I read this week. Thank you so much, Plottress, for recommending this author, because this book was a gem and I loved it. And I actually went on eBay last night and found the physical copy of this book with a step back, and it's autographed by the author because I just needed to have it because I loved it so much. So that book was wonderful. The chemistry between the couple was just so good, and there was such a build up for when they finally get together, and it was just perfect. I just loved it. There were side characters that were funny and adorable and that you loved, and I can see that they're going to be featured in other books, and I just loved it. It was just perfect. It was everything that I wanted in a historical romance. It was great. 5 stars. Okay, so let's wrap up everything that I read. So the first book I read was The Luckiest Lady in London by Sherry Thomas. This author was suggested by Gigi Reads Romance on Instagram, and I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was wonderful. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like it had a good balance of emotional, heartfelt, kind of melancholy scenes and lighthearted banter. There were some moments in this book that were just absolutely just heart-wrenching, and I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed this author's writing style. She was funny, she was witty, she was charming, she was romantic, she was steamy. This one was definitely the steamiest one of the 3 that I read, and I really liked it. So I'm definitely going to be reading more from this author too. She's one I want to read more from. I loved it. And the second book I read was Rogue with a Brogue by Suzanne Enoch, and this book I gave 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this read. I feel like the first half of the book was much stronger than the last half. I think she did a great job, this writer did a great job of building chemistry, just like pew pew, spark-filled chemistry. Like there was so much chemistry between this couple. It was just wonderful, and she made a wonderful swoony romantic hero, and the only thing that I didn't really enjoy about this book was the rushed ending, and they got together too quickly, in my opinion. But other than that, this was a wonderful read. I'm definitely going to be checking more out from her too. This was suggested to me by Mrs. Teapot's Reads. This was a wonderful suggestion. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read more from this author. And then the final book I read was Along Came a Duke by Elizabeth Boyle. I loved this as well. It was my favorite read of the week. It was 5 out of 5 stars. It was charming, romantic, sweet, wonderful history of the Regency time period. It was just It was just delightful. And I loved Preston, our hero. It was great. 5 stars. All right. Well, this was a really fun reading experience. I really enjoyed all of these, and I feel like this has made me feel like, I don't know, just everyone who suggests books to me in the historical romance genre that I've found on Instagram has been exactly spot on. So I'm super grateful for that. This was a ton of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see me do more of these reading vlogs or talk more about romance books or, you know, books in general. I'd love to have you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.